Can you hear me loud and clear? Okay, there's a chat function at the bottom left of your screen. Okay, if you can hear me loud and clear, just acknowledge accordingly. Is it too loud? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I'll start probably in about 1 minute's time. Okay, just make sure you have a piece of paper and some writing materials with you. Okay, so throughout my presentation, it will be a 40 minutes presentation, and anytime when you have, if you have any questions, you can either take it down on a piece of paper, or you can just key into the chat function. All right, but I may not address the question immediately during my presentation. Okay, I will leave the last 20 minutes for Q&A. Okay, so if you have something urgent, you can just either any urgent burning question, you can just write it down and wait for the Q&A session, or you can just key into the chat function, which I will address it probably if I have the time immediately, or if not at the final Q&A session. Okay. All right. So I shall start the webinar now. Okay. Thank you very much, parents, for coming. Okay. So this is the third webinar session. The first two sessions we had on strategies to help your children in science. So this time around is strategies to help your children score in PSLE mathematics. Okay. So it will be a 40 minutes presentation. Okay. The target audience is specifically our parents who have children taking PSLE this year, or if you do not have children taking PSLE this year, probably next year or before, it will still be beneficial. It's good that you prepare early. So I hope that you will benefit from this presentation. Okay. Okay. First of all, I would like to have just a quick survey. Why do you sign up for this webinar? Okay. Why do you register for this webinar? All right. Probably you can just key into the chat function. I would just like to know, the reasons why, you sign up for this webinar. Okay, I actually invited the main target audience is our parents. That means students at Edufront Learning Center. Okay, they are our main target audience. But I do have spaces which I open up to parents who are keen through our Facebook page as well as our website. Okay, Mr. Sharin, about the format of the math paper, okay, as well as some strategies to help my daughter. Okay, Mr. Jasni, to help our son who is sitting for PSLE, to know more of the subject and hope to be able to help my daughter, okay, to assist my child in obtaining good marks in every way possible, okay, to know more. All right. Okay, thank you so much. Yes, my second question, do you think you have the skills to help your children in mathematics? Can you rate yourself in a scale of 1 to 10? Okay, just key in number 1 to 10. Okay, do you think you have the, what skills that you have? Okay, Madam Sharifah says 5, Mr. Chua says 5, Mr. Justin says 6, Madam Joharan says 3, Mr. Sharin 6, Madam Yatima. So generally between 3 to 6, I would say. Okay. Now, the good news is that you are not the only one. Okay, it is very common. I have a lot of parents coming to us, they're saying that they are helpless in helping their children in mathematics. Okay, at least the parents here, you have some skills. 3, 4, 5, and 6 is a very good actually. Okay, but many parents who they feel that they do not have the skill, they don't even bother to sign up for this webinar session. Okay, even though it is free and it is a very informative session for them. So I would like to thank you very much again for being a part of your child's education specifically in mathematics for this particular session. And it's very common that parents do not feel that they do not have the skills to help their children in mathematics. But hopefully by the end of this webinar, I will share with you what are some of the things that you can do, okay, to help your children in mathematics. In fact, all parents, I believe, have the basic skills to help your children in mathematics in some way or another. Probably not 100%, but at least in a minimal way, which I will share with you later. Okay. Now, our aim at Edufront here is not only to teach your children, okay, but also to equip parents with the skills to help their children in mathematics. Because I believe that the success of your children is not just merely sending your children for tuition or just not merely for schools, but everyone has a part to help your children in mathematics, and especially so parents. Okay, so our role here at Edufront is to share with parents the very basic skills and knowledge, and even advanced skills. Okay, if they are ready to impart the skills to the parents, so that they're able to help their children in mathematics. Now, what's the reasons? Number one, many parents, whether they want it or not, they are increasingly involved in their children's education. Okay, and many a times, children, our parents have to relearn the skills that they have learned in the past. Okay, things that they always come to me and say, oh, last time we learned mathematics very different, science very different from last time from now. Okay, and a lot of things that we learn, as say for example, the use to solve word problem using algebra, which we acquired last time in university or in secondary school. Using algebra, generally it is not, we don't use algebra to solve most of the problems in primary school mathematics. But as parents, we will use our algebra straight away, because to us it's very easy. But for children, it's not the way that they learn in schools nowadays. So we need to relearn all over again many things, okay, so that to help our children. Next, the curriculum is very challenging, and very often parents become the first person for their children to turn to. Okay, when they go home, any homework they do not know how to do, they will ask the parents if the parents are available. Okay, and it's very common. It's not easy, the curriculum, especially at upper primary, P5, P6. So if we have the skills, we are able to help our children better. Okay, even though parents, they may be too busy or working and for not able to help your child at home, but at least we need to choose the right resources and support to give our children. For example, when we go to the bookshop, we want to buy assessment books for them, or in the choice of tutors or learning centers, we need to know the syllabus so that we're able to give them the right resources and support. Okay, for example, what assessment books to buy? Okay, there's so many assessment books in the market. Okay, if you do not know how to assess or to evaluate the quality of these materials, then you will end up just looking at the cover, nice cover page. Okay, you buy stacks and stacks for them. Likewise for tutors and the choice of learning centers. Okay, there are so many options for the parents. Okay, but whether if parents are aware of the syllabus, at least the parents are able to better evaluate the tutors that they hire for their children, as well as the programs that they send for in the various learning centers. Okay, and the very important reason also why parents should be equipped with the skills is that when your children sit for the exams and they take home the exam papers, and then they show to you, the only thing that most parents see is the final marks. Okay, when the child say, daddy, I got 30 out of 100. Okay, and then the dad will get very angry, or mother get angry and give one, caning, beat the child for not, say, why you fail again? Okay, but we don't even look at inside. Why the children fail? What is the reasons the children did not perform for that particular test? Okay, so if we know the syllabus and we know the difficulty that our children are facing, then we are able to better assess their performance and how to help them improve on their exam scores. Right? Okay, so for today's webinar, sorry for the typo here. Okay, primary mathematics curriculum framework. Okay, I will give you an overview of the framework. Next, the types of questions and the content weightings for PSLE. Alright, I believe most of the parents here, your children are sitting for PSLE this year. So I will share with you the types of questions and the content weightings. as well as the PSLE exam format and time management strategies. And then next will be problem solving strategies. I will not go deep into the various strategies, the detail about the strategies, but I'll show you the various strategies that your child can use in solving word problems. And then tips on choosing the right resources for your children. Okay, I will divide into higher ability, mid ability, and lower ability children. Okay, and then lastly, how busy parents can support your children in PSLE mathematics at home. Right? Okay, a brief biodata about myself for parents who may not know me. All right, I graduated from NUS in 2001, and then I signed up as a teacher, and I did a postgraduate diploma in NIE and NTU in 2002, and then I started my teaching career at Mary Stella High Primary School, okay, where I taught mainly primary 5 and primary 6s, preparing the students for the PSLE. Okay, initially, I teach English, Math, and Science. All primary school teachers are trained to teach all subjects, all 3 subjects, but eventually I specialize in mathematics and science. Okay, and in 2005, I was the head of department for ICT, okay, where I helped the other departments in the use of technology in their various subject areas. Okay, and then in 2006, I left MOE and I worked in the Middle East as a lecturer, and then I returned to Singapore as an adjunct teacher in 2011, and then at the same time also I founded Concept Learning and Edufront Learning Center, and now I'm the principal tutor at Edufront Learning Center, where I teach P6 and P5 and P6 Math and Science. Right? Okay, now the mathematics framework. Now this is extracted directly from the syllabus. I do not want to show you because the syllabus is a very thick document which you can actually download for free, download immediately from MOE's website. In fact, for all the subjects. Okay, so you can do that. Okay, when you have the time later on, or you have not done so. Okay, it can be extracted very easily. And this is the mathematics framework. It's applicable not only for primary school, also secondary school, all the way up to junior college. Okay, I can see here the central theme here is mathematics problem solving. Okay, and around here will be skills. Okay, last time what we used to learn is a lot of manipulation skills, arithmetic skills, numerical calculation, algebraic manipulation, and so on. Okay, now there's a lot of focus on processes to solve word problems. Okay, and we have attitudes also. Attitude towards mathematics is a very important component that we need to nurture our children. And metacognition, this is the way of how our children monitor their own thinking. Okay, or think about what we call thinking about thinking, or self-regulation of learning. Right. So this is too theoretical. Okay, you can read up further from the syllabus if you want to know more. But basically, the emphasis here, you can see that right in the middle here is mathematical problem solving. That is why in the PSLE, about 50% of the questions are word problems. Okay, at least 50% of the questions are word problems. Okay, so and it is a bit more from primary 4 to primary 5. Okay, if you have children in primary 5, you can see that a lot of higher demand for your children in mathematics, because at primary 4, the problem solving component or the long word problem is only 20%, but P5 and P6 it goes up to 50% at least. Okay. Okay, so the older mathematics framework curriculum focus on competition and routine procedures. However, the current curriculum focuses a lot on problem solving. So problem solving, a lot of things, language skills also matters again in problem solving. And the pupils are actually not expected to do tedious calculation. Okay, a lot of questions, 4 or 5 marks question, not require a lot of very, very tedious calculation. In fact, there's a lot of thinking involved, and if the children can think very quickly, they can actually solve the problem quite quickly. Okay, that's one of the reason why in this curriculum they introduce the use of calculators at primary 5, because they want to put aside this routine calculation and get the students to spend more time on thinking on solving problem rather than the routine procedures and computation. However, there's a problem to itself. I have noticed a lot of students, lower ability students especially, at P5 when they are given, when they are allowed to use calculators, they at primary 5, those low ability students, some of them, they are still not proficient in the routine procedures or computation. For example, some students, they are not strong in their multiplication tables. They cannot do long division. They cannot do simple, computation with fractions. Then these students, they have a lot of problems because when they're given calculators, the easy way out for them to use calculators. So if we do not monitor them, okay, then that's why even at P6 they cannot do simple calculation like long division. So we have to monitor them very carefully, okay, at P5. Okay, because at PSLE paper 1 component, no calculators is allowed. Okay. Now this is the content weightings for PSLE standard. Okay, I will not go into foundation today. Okay, so this is standard content. Okay, full numbers, fractions, decimals, 30%. Measurement includes area, perimeter, circles, volume, 25%. So there's a big chunk here on measurement. Okay, geometry, including next 15%, ratio and percentage 12%. Data analysis, okay, 10%, speed 4%, and algebra 4%. Okay, so many parents ask me, what to focus on for PSLE? Actually, I tell them, if your children are aiming for A star, there's no such thing as focusing on specific topics. You have to focus on every topics. But if your children are struggling in the exams, in the PSLE or in the school exams at P6, then probably you may want to focus a little bit more on the topics where there is higher weightage, okay? Especially whole numbers, fractions and decimals, measurement and geometry. The first 4 topics here. Okay, speed and algebra. Speed question, even though it's very challenging for the student, but it carries only 4%, and they will only learn towards the later part of P6. Algebra, yes, it's not that difficult, but the weightage is very small. And speed question, generally, if they come PSLE, it is a very challenging, very challenging speed question. Okay, so some of the weaker students, I know some teachers in some schools, if they're teaching the low ability classes, they even they don't bother to teach speed to their students also. Okay, they rather focus on this whole numbers, measurement, geometry, and ratio and percentage. These first 4 topics. Okay. All right. For those parents with children in PSLE this year, just to give you a overview of the dates towards PSLE. Okay, now is already April. Very soon it will be the mid-year exams. Okay, so schools will complete the syllabus by June. Most schools, I know, the better schools probably they would have finished the syllabus before the mid-year exams. But majority of the schools they would complete the syllabus during the June holidays supplementary classes. Anyway, if your children is sitting for PSLE this year, most likely either the first week or the last week of the June holidays, they would have to come back for supplementary classes or remediation classes. So that is where the teacher will finish up the entire syllabus. Probably they will leave for math, either speed or volume or the last topics in the maths syllabus. Okay, so the PSLE oral is actually 14th and 15th of August. So April, May, June, July, August. So it's about 4 months to the first PSLE, the actual PSLE examination, which is the PSLE oral. And mind you, PSLE oral is, the children have to be mentally prepared. It's very important. English is about 20%. Mother tongue is 25% of the overall paper. So in 4 months, the children have to get ready for the first part of the PSLE examination. And then we have the listening comprehension, English and mother tongue on the 19th of September. And the written examination for English is on the 25th of September, mathematics 26th of September, mother tongue 29th, science 30th of September, and higher mother tongue, if your children is taking higher mother tongue, is ends on the 1st of October. Okay, so all these days are taken from SEAB website. Okay, if you go to seab.gov.sg, you can actually download the PSLE dates itself. Okay, right. Now the PSLE standard mathematics paper format. Okay, by now most parents would have known, but if you are still not familiar, okay, this is the I summarize the format for you. Yeah, there are two papers. Paper one, 15 minutes duration, which carries 40% of the paper, and then there will be a 1 hour break. Okay, then the children will continue paper two. Okay, this is the grueling paper, 60%, 1 hour 40 minutes. Okay, so for paper one, it's about speed. Paper one is actually about speed and accuracy, because in 15 minutes your children have to answer 15 MCQ question, and the MCQ question carries 1 mark and 2 marks. The first 10 question is 1 mark. Question 11 to 15 it carries 2 marks. So the more challenging questions are the 2 mark questions. Okay, in booklet B, 15 short answer question. Also there is 1 mark and 2 mark questions. Okay, so there are no calculators is allowed for paper one. Okay, so paper two is where a lot of perseverance, mental perseverance, mental preparation needed, because it's 1 hour and 40 minutes. Okay, I noticed a lot of the lower ability students, they cannot even last throughout the 1 hour 40 minutes. So sometimes I can see a lot of them, after 1 hour they will just put their heads on the table and just close their eyes, and they just give up on the questions. Okay, so preparation, mental preparation is very important. Now I just want you to take note about the break. The break is only 1 hour break between paper one and paper two. And I know in schools, okay, what they do is that in paper one, the students during the school exams, SA1 exam, SA2 or prelims, the paper one, they administer to the students at 8 o'clock in the morning, so 8 to 8:50, and then recess time, depending on the school, recess time usually at 10:30, up to 11, and then after recess, then they will start paper two. And that break is actually about 2 hours or 2.5 hours of break between paper one and paper two, which is not realistic, because at PSLE they are given only 1 hour break. Okay, so you may want to see. I'm not so sure about different schools. So if your child's school is they are taking too long of a break, you may want to get your child to simulate actual exam condition at home itself. So meaning that you give him the full paper, and then paper one administer for 15 minutes, and then give him or her only a 1 hour break, and then continue paper two. So it is just like preparing your child for the Olympics, a big event. And actually, to me, the PSLE is even can be more demanding than the Olympics. So, Olympics once in every 4 years. PSLE once in a lifetime. Okay, so it is really very demanding, very high stake exam. Okay, so we prepare as much as possible our children for this exam. But of course, we don't be too overly pressurizing our children, because I believe that they will perform best when our children are at a very happy state, or at a very the most relaxed state. They will perform best, especially in mathematics. So make sure that they have enough rest, in the exams, right before the exams. Okay. Okay. The type of exams, the type of questions: knowledge question, comprehension question, application analysis question. Okay. Can you see that the knowledge question is 25%, comprehension question 35%, and analysis and application question 40%. I will not go too deep into what exactly it means by knowledge, comprehension, application, because when teachers are designing the exam question, we have to ensure that we comply to these requirements. But basically, to simplify it, knowledge question is the direct, straightforward 1 mark question. A comprehension question, probably the 2-3 marks question, and application analysis question are the more challenging 4 and 5 marks question. Okay. Now I want to talk a little bit about problem solving, because the maths curriculum is a lot about problem solving. So problem solving is the ability to handle unusual situations where routine procedures are not available. Okay, so PSLE question is like that. Okay, it is not straightforward. Even the simple 2-mark question, 3-mark question, it is very non-routine. We cannot predict the questions. Okay, but does not mean that we cannot prepare them. Okay, but we have to equip them with the necessary skills to solve such non-routine questions. Okay, this is taken from a very common 4-process word problem solving process by Polya. Now, step 1 is understanding the problem. So when our children see a maths question, problem solving questions, problem sums, first they need to understand the problem. Okay, meaning that they need to identify what are the keywords. Okay, probably we may want to get them to underline or highlight the keywords, and then what are the conditions to be met. What is the question asking in the problem sums? Okay, and they can also describe the problems in their own words. Okay, so that's the first part. They really need to understand the problem. If they don't understand the problem, they cannot devise a plan. They cannot answer to the question itself. That's a very important, understanding the problem. Okay, so usually I get the students to, before they start actually writing down the working, they will have to do their analysis or understanding of the question itself, to analyze, break down the problem sum into sentence by sentence, phrase by phrase, to really understand what is required from them. Okay, so a lot of the students, sometimes when they see 4 and 5 marks question, they will say, "Oh, teacher, I do not know how to do." Okay, I get very upset. I get very angry when they give me a blank paper saying that, "Oh, there is teacher, I do not know how to do." So I said that they are not thinking enough. All right. So we teach them how to analyze. We teach them actually to what to do if they do not know what to do. Okay. The first part here is to understand the problem. Okay. To interpret the problem, analyze sentence by sentence. Okay. Which they can actually, everyone, all the students can do. Not every part of the questions are challenging or difficult. Okay. So if they break down the questions into parts, sentence by sentence, they will be able to better understand and comprehend the problem before they actually move on to the next step. Okay. So step 2 is devising the plan. Okay. So after they understand the problem, then they have to devise the plan. Okay. So they have to select the strategy to solve the problem, and more than one strategy can often be adopted. And here we in schools they have been taught various problem solving strategies or heuristics. Okay. Like in low primary or middle primary, they learn about making a list, finding a pattern, drawing a diagram, and then in upper primary they learn about more advanced model drawing, working backwards, and various other problem-solving strategies. Okay, later I'll show you more about the other problem-solving strategies available. Okay, so they devise a plan to solve the problem, and then step 3, then to carry out the plan, whether to use computational skills like add, subtract, divide, multiply, or to use mathematical tools. Ruler, compass, protractor, okay, where sometimes they need to do construction of shapes, or whether they need to apply formulas, whether area of a triangle, or finding the volume, or finding the distance, and then they have to use the various thinking skills. Okay, and step 4 is, I think, lacking in many students. Okay, after they solve the problem, they come up with a final answer. Okay, a good student will be able to reflect on their answers. Okay, this is where it differentiates the better students and the average student. A good student, I see they're able to reflect the answers. Okay, meaning that they're able to check whether the answers are correct or not. Okay, how they do it? They read the question again and make sure they have understood the question, what the question wants. Okay, next they check the working step by step. Okay, many students, they just, after they do, finish, they move on. This is understandable because they are working under time condition. But I see a lot of the better students, they actually carry out this step 4 quite thoroughly. And then they can start with the answer and then they work backwards. This is one strategy where they can check the answers. They work backwards, substitute back the answers to the questions, and then to check if the results satisfy the given questions. And then another thing they can do is to check whether the answer is logical. Okay, like a simple example, say question on angles. Okay, if the angle that they require to find is an acute angle, if the answer is 105, for example, they can see immediately that hey, something of the answer because 105 is not an acute angle. Okay, so but many students they cannot see or they don't really reflect on the answer. Okay, so step 4 here is very important part of problem solving process. Okay, so we emphasize a lot on this part to check the answers whether the answers make sense and satisfy all the given condition in the question. Okay. All right, here I summarize for parents the various problem solving strategies. There are many strategies. Okay, so for myself, when I teach the students, I teach as many strategies as possible. Okay, I know there are some schools, teachers or tutors, they say, oh, you have to do algebra method, or you cannot move on, you forget about model drawing, use units method, or use model drawing alone. Okay, so for me, my strategy is that I do not restrict students to any specific strategy, because as far as PSLE is concerned, they do not dictate what kind of strategy that the students can take. As long as the strategy works, makes sense, the answers are correct, they will give the marks. Okay, so for example, some students, they are very visual, they prefer model drawing. Okay, they do model drawing, all right, but some students they say that okay, model drawing is too long-winded for them, they prefer the unitary method. Okay, they proceed on to unitary method. But some questions where model drawing may not be efficient. Okay, that's the reason why I teach them all the various strategies possible for the question. Okay, like branching method here is very useful strategy for solving remainder of a fraction question. Okay, many students, they still stick to the model drawing, but when the fractions gets more complex, model method will become very, very complicated, time consuming. So I show them, okay, this is the alternative method, branching method. Okay, why don't you learn branching method, and then you practice and see, and then you make a decision yourself. Okay, so we empower them to think what is the best possible strategy for the question itself. And there are many other strategies here. Okay, on the left side is usually they will learn at lower levels using a diagram, looking for pattern, unitary method, guess and check. At upper levels, they will learn repeated identity, external unchanged, total unchanged, constant difference, number times value, simultaneous, more than less than, external change, gap and difference. There are several other problem solving strategies. And sometimes it's not it's not important for them to know what is the name of the strategy, but rather they need to know the pathway or the strategies to solve the question. Okay, a lot of these names here on the right side, it is derived, okay, by the authors of books. Okay, so it's not necessary. We don't really, sometimes it's good for the sake of revision, for them to know when learning, when they know that this strategy is named, what's the name of this particular strategy. But eventually, we don't emphasize a lot. Okay, they have to memorize, the name of the strategy. It's just to simplify the learning process. Alright, like more than less than, it is a certain way of solving certain kind of question, okay, in the on-sponge book, okay, but it can mean many things, right? So not to worry too much about the name of the strategy itself. Okay, next, what makes good problem solvers? The ability to distinguish between relevant and irrelevant information. Okay, so some students, they must be able to derive, when they scan the question, then they must be able to detect what are the important clues, important information in the question itself. Okay, next, ability to see quickly and accurately the mathematical structure of the problem. Okay, next, to be able to generalize across the wide range of similar problems. And next, the ability to remember problems' formal structure for a long time. Right? Some students, they say that they have poor memory. Okay, we teach them how many times long division or division of fractions, they cannot remember. Okay, so that's why there is also a place for drill and practice. Right? Sometimes we like to move on to a lot of group work and a lot of concepts, but drill and practice also has a place in mathematics, because students they forget. Alright, like multiplication, for example, even though they are given calculators, but okay, if they know the multiplication table very quickly, then they can solve the problems faster. All right, so it helps in mathematics for them to remember structures and procedures. All right. Okay, what are the factors affecting students' ability to solve problems? Okay, sometimes we ask ourselves, hey, how come my children cannot solve the challenging problems? Okay, so there are various, this is by research. Now, some having difficulties understanding the mathematical language in word problems, linguistic knowledge. All right, especially at lower primary, some children, the linguistic knowledge or the understanding of their literacy skills is still not developed. So that is where they have problems at lower primary itself, at primary 1, primary 2. Okay, they cannot solve word problem not because they are not good in math, but because of their language abilities. So it's very important. Language abilities has a strong correlation with the word problem solving abilities. Okay, second, have difficulties identifying the problem type. Right? What type of problem is this? Okay, right. Thirdly, having limited problem solving strategies. Okay, strategic knowledge. They do not know whether when they see this problem, what strategies to choose. Okay, so having limited word problem strategies. Okay, having difficulties in identifying operations needed for the word problems. Is it times, plus, minus, divide? Okay, so they have problems identifying this conceptual knowledge. And then the next one is lack in confidence and the willingness to persist. Okay, this is very important also, how they believe themselves. All right, I have many students who are, I think they can solve it, they are smart enough, but they say, oh teacher, I do not know how to do. And they give up easily. All right, and they're not willing to persist. So perseverance in mathematics is very important, especially when they are doing their homework. All right, in the exams, they have to persist all the way, But more importantly, during the practice themselves, okay, when teacher give them homework, when they take home homework or school, many students I see they see the word problem difficult, they just give up. All right, and that is a very very big problem. Okay, I always tell my students, even if it takes say one whole day to solve one word problem, is better for them than giving up after 5 minutes of thinking and then just waiting for the teachers to discuss the answers in class the next day. Okay, or if they have tutors, worse, they just depend on the tutors. Hey, tutor, how to do this question? So the real losers are actually the children. All right, so this is where I think parents can play a part, where we actually encourage our students to persist and persevere when solving word problem. Okay, encourage them to solve the problem itself. Even if it takes one day, a few hours to solve one problem itself, so it is better. Okay, what happened is that many students, they give up, and then after 5 minutes they give up, and then of course the teachers will discuss in school. Okay, the following day, and then what happens is that they just copy the answers. And then when the teacher asks, do you understand? Yes. Nobody will say they don't understand. Everybody say they will understand. After saying the word problem, they understand. But I can guarantee you that if the teacher gives the same problem, after the next 5-10 minutes, they cannot solve the question itself. Okay, because they do not go through the thinking process, okay, of solving the problem. All right. So it's very important that we give our children sufficient time, sufficient encouragement, perseverance to solve the word problem. Because in the exams, under real exam condition, PSLE, for 6 years of preparation for PSLE, and that is the D-Day for them. Okay, and such high-stake exams, and they have to solve challenging problems. Imagine the pressure that your children are feeling if they do not have sufficient practice at home. So it's very difficult for them. So that is the thing that we have to support our children. Okay, so how do we support our children? Number one, of course, to get them to attend lessons regularly, either school, supplementary classes, remediation classes, tuition classes, whatever classes that your children is attending. Okay, make sure that they attend regularly. Monitor the homework. I always emphasize that schoolwork should be the most priority. Okay, it should be a priority for your children. Make sure that they finish the school homework. All right, the school's worksheets. In fact, the school's material, I believe, would be the best materials for your children. Okay, and many students, they leave out this part. Okay, after they do the schoolwork, the school worksheet, they just chuck it aside. and then they will keep on buying more and more assessment books. To me, it's not necessary for you to buy tons and tons of assessment books. In fact, just get them to identify the mistakes. Okay, the mistake from their school's worksheet, school, even the workbook, worksheets. There are enough worksheets for the for the students. So when teachers create worksheets for the students, they have in mind that the students do not have any additional support at home. Okay, so that's why the schools have tons and tons of homework because of worksheet materials. So we can just supplement, our school's worksheet just probably by covering the answers, the wrong answer. Then get your children to attempt those questions again, the questions which your children made mistake in. Okay, and next, monitor your child's homework. Ensure that for paper 1 kind of question, they do not use the calculators. Alright, and if they are still not familiar or not very efficient in basic word multiplication, basic long division, decimals, multiplication of decimal, division of decimals, make sure you drill them with such questions. Alright, so daily division is very important. Okay, it's very important. Maths, small doses, especially for the lower ability students, you need to give them daily revision. Alright, so tuition once a week itself is definitely not enough. Alright, schoolwork, make sure that they are, they have, they revise on a daily basis, not only for mathematics, for all other subjects as well. And you can also apply mathematics learning in daily life. Alright, when you take your children for shopping, take your children for, for holiday, you can include a lot of learning of mathematics, in life. Alright, and next, very important, also guide and not tell them how to do the work. Okay, we guide them in teaching pedagogy. We call this scaffolding. Okay, meaning that if let's say your children do not know how to do this question, instead of showing them, okay, this is how to do it, A to Z. Okay, we just tell them, okay, let's say there are 4 steps to the problem. We just first of all we tell them, okay, analyze the question, and if they still cannot start, we give them, okay, this is the first step. Just give them the first step. And then some of them would know from first step itself they can proceed on to do third to the 4th step on their own. Alright, okay, let's say they're stuck again, step 2, step 1. Give them the second step, alright, and so on and so forth. Rather than just straight away giving them the 4 steps and then they are not learning that way. Okay, we call this scaffolding. Alright, and many times when we give them the first step, they will know what to do next already. Okay, next, time management. Very important for parents to time the students at home. Alright, school homework, sometimes the teacher gives practice paper, and usually the entire practice paper, the children have to, at certain point of time, you have to time that because exams is under time condition. Paper 1, 15 minutes, paper 2 is 1 hour 40 minutes. Okay, so once in a while, not all the time, once in a while you have to ensure that you time them at home. Alright, and encourage perseverance in your child. Not to scold them, beat them, or whatever, but to really encourage them to persevere. Mathematics learning is very challenging. All right, you know yourself. Okay, we can see that the kind of questions that our students see here. Many parents, in fact, many teachers. I can tell you this. Many teachers, teachers not teaching P5 and P6, they do not dare to teach PSLE classes. Why? Because they themselves have difficulty solving some of the questions. Alright, so you have to, encourage your children to persevere, instead of scolding them, all the time. Unless, of course, they have bad habits like, too much sleep or too much playing computer games. Even though PSL is very okay, that is separate thing. You scold them or you punish them based on specific their bad habits rather than their inability in mathematics. Because I don't think that they will help in any way, if you scold the children because they cannot solve 4 and 5 marks question. Alright, and also ensure sufficient rest, especially mathematics, the day before the exams, or in fact 1 week before exam. Make sure they have sufficient rest, okay, enough sleep before the exam, because I believe that when they have the enough sufficient rest, they are in a happy state of mind, and they will be able to perform better in their exams. Okay, remember, this is a very high stake exam, the PSLE. Alright, okay, now recommended resources for many students, parents come to me, what resources to recommend. Okay, I am in no way actually related to any of these books, or or the authors, or the bookshop itself. But this is the books that I use, as well as I know used by the better schools. Okay, like Rosai schools, they last year they started to use this book for the higher ability classes. So higher ability means that let's say your children are getting 80 marks and above consistently. Okay, this is a good book for them to do, because I know good schools are using this also. So if the good schools are using this, so I believe that it has certain kind of value. All right, get me thinking. You can buy from the publisher themselves. Okay, and for high mid ability students, I strongly recommend on Sponge book. I think many parents are very familiar with this book. Okay, in my tuition program, I use a lot of strategies from this on Sponge book, and they start using this book from P3 onwards. Okay, so if your children are at P3, you can start using this book, and this is very important, very useful for mid ability and high ability students, mainly for a 4 and 5 mark question type, not for 1 mark, 2 mark question. Okay, this is for 3, 4, and 5 mark question type of questions or word problems. Okay, for mid ability students, two books that I highly recommend: Visible Thinking, as well as Challenging Maths Problem Made Easy. In my tuition classes right now, other than my own worksheets, I'm using this book, Visible Thinking. All right, and these are written by the same authors. Okay, the difference is that in the Challenging Maths Problem Made Easy, it is categorized according to strategy. Okay, I think they teach about 10 strategies, very useful strategies in this book, and they name it. Just like on Sponge, likewise, also on Sponge also they name the strategy and they teach the strategy across the various topics. But the Visible Thinking, they use the same strategy, but the good thing is that they do not tell the students what strategy it is. So it is all jumbled up, meaning that it is more consistent, I believe, to the school exam, because in the school exam they don't tell you what strategy to use. So students have to think what strategies that they can apply. Okay, so I recommend this book for mid ability students. Okay, for lower ability students, meaning that if they are getting 30 marks and below, okay, 30 marks and below, if your children is getting 30 marks and below, or probably 40 marks and below, it means that your children are behind in the syllabus by at least 1 to 2 years. Okay, meaning at somewhere, because the mathematics curriculum at primary school, they are using the spiral approach. So the skills builds up, okay, as they go higher up in the level, P2, P3, and so on. Okay, so if your children are not performing, getting 30 plus, 20 something at this stage, okay, it means that you have to revise back P4 work. Okay, start to revise that P4 work, P4 and P5 work. Okay, and I recommend the school textbook, school workbook themselves, because the school workbook, it is very comprehensive. It is approved by MOE. Okay, like MyPELS, Shaping Maths. Okay, most schools are using MyPELS, some using Shaping Maths, some using Discovery Maths. Okay, so if your schools are using MyPELS, so you may want to get them Shaping Maths and Discovery Maths. All right, so to really drill them on the very, very basic concepts. So the weaker students, if I take the weaker student, I always tell them that even let's say I take the last class, for the standard, I tell all of them have the capability to score a B in PSLE Maths. Okay, why? Reason? I will show them the calculation. If they can just focus on 1, 2, and 3 mark question, they can actually score more than 60 marks itself. Okay, you can calculate on your own also. If they can score, you can get correct for all 1, 2, and 3 mark question. Okay, they can get a B for PSLE Maths. So it is not difficult at all to get a B in PSLE Maths. Okay, so we need to really focus on 1, 2, and 3 mark question. Okay, and 4 and 5 marks question, we do for low ability students. I do tell them, okay, whatever that you can grab is very good. Okay, 4 and 5 marks question, things like geometry. Okay, 5 marks question, 4 marks question on construction. So many lower ability students, they can actually get some marks from geometry. Okay, and question involving diagrams. All right. So, but if they can just do well for 1, 2, and 3 mark question, they can actually pass and even get a B for PSLE Maths. And I've seen this many times. Okay, students, some of my students who are getting 30 something all the way until prelims, but eventually they get a B. B is a 60% and above for PSLE Maths. Okay, so it is very possible, okay, for to get a B. Right, so they just need the right support, the right environment, the right perseverance attitude for them to score for PSLE. Right. Okay. All right. So this is all I have to say for at the moment. So any Q&A? Now I leave about 20 minutes for Q&A. So if you have questions, can you just key in into the chat function? Oh, I've covered everything, is it? Okay, so this for this particular webinar, it is just okay. While I wait for parents to key in their questions, I believe there are some burning questions, so you can just key in. So I'll just add on to my presentation. So for my next subsequent webinar, I would probably want to go into specific content area. So far science I did want an overview. This is the first webinar on mathematics, an overview of the maths curriculum itself. So my subsequent webinar, I may want to go deeper into the specific topics or specific skills itself. All right. Okay, Mr. Sharin, is it worthwhile to practice past year's school papers that are sell in the bundle? Yes. Okay, the first, okay, because time is very limited, there's a lot of resources available. So we have to be smart in the choice of resources. Okay, it's not only doing, but the time, our children's time is very important. Okay, the first resource the children should attempt is the school's worksheets, meaning that whatever work that your children have done, any mistakes that they have done, okay, make sure you review them. Okay, just by covering the questions, or maybe you get them to rewrite the questions and then get them to solve the question. Make sure that they have actually understood, or they do not make the same mistakes again. Okay, that is the first thing. The school resources itself. In fact, the school resources itself may be enough for the for revision itself. Schools give stacks and stacks of homework. Okay, the second important resource will be the past year PSLE questions. Okay, the actual PSLE question, the PSLE booklet, the orange color booklet for math. Okay, so you get them to do. I always tell my students to do at least 3 times. Okay, because right now the last few lessons I've been doing with my tuition students, and it is actually not very well done. Okay, simple 1-2 marks question, they make a lot of mistakes. So you may want them to redo again, okay, a few times, right? And then for schools practice paper, if your child is mid and high ability, yes, for HANA, I think it is very useful. You buy the bundle, because the school exam papers are vetted, by the HOD and so on. So it is a very good practice. You buy other schools papers. In fact, I know last year one of my students from one of the convent school, what they do is that during the June holidays, the school actually prepared for all the P6 students bundles of other school exam papers, and they actually label the questions, label the day, the June holiday, say 30 days. Every day they have to do, I think, 1 practice paper for every subject. And what happened is that the parents have asked to monitor, and then the parents have to actually initial when student have complete the paper. So there are 3 initials actually. First, student will initial when they have completed the paper, and then parents will initial for that day itself. Okay, if the child have completed, and then the third one, the school teacher. So in 30 days, they have to do 30 papers for every subject. All right, so that's how they drill their students in PSLE during the June holiday itself. So you may want to start, for your own child. Okay, get them to drill them in the using school exam papers. All right. Okay, Zaba, can we do a mass order for books you have mentioned? Okay, I don't do a mass order. They are easily available in popular bookstore, except for the Get Me Thinking. If Get Me Thinking for a high ability student, you have to get directly from the center itself. I think it's called Visible Math. They have 2 centers in Thomson. I bought it from the center in Thomson itself. I think they publish on their own, so you can purchase at the center itself. Okay, the other books are all available in a popular bookstore, so you can just purchase from that itself. Okay, any other questions? How important it is the presentation of working for long problems. I see Hannah's work, she does calculation, but without the statement of labeling, calculating, will that be a problem? Okay, depends on the which section is it. Okay, for 2-mark question onwards, the students are for paper 2. In fact, for paper 1, the 2-mark question, they are expected to show working, meaning the working will carry method mark. Okay, so if your child just give the final answer without the working for such question, your child will only get the final answer mark. They will not get the method marks. Alright, so for long word problems, yes, it's very important that they show detailed working. Okay, some form of working must be shown, but of course some students they will skip certain working, so we actually do not encourage that. Okay, we just encourage them to write down all the steps. Okay, but of course the teachers, when we mark, we are very flexible in terms of the methods of doing the question. As long as the working makes sense, okay, we will give the answers. I give you an example. For geometry, say a 4-mark question on geometry. Last time in secondary school, when we learn mathematics, we have to state down, we have to reference the angles properly. For example, angle ABC equals to 180 minus 60 degrees, and then we even put a bracket. What's the reason for that? Okay, but right now many students they just write down 180 minus 60. Alright, they do not reference to the specific angles itself, but we still give them the marks. Okay, the only problem is that if they get the answers wrong. If the answers is wrong, then we cannot assume that their working is for this particular angle. That's why they lose the method marks like that, So teachers, we actually make sure that they write down the full working in the question itself, right? And it carries marks, method marks. Okay, so if your final answer is not correct, and then the marker will look for method marks, the working, and to give method marks where possible. That's why it's very important that they show the working in the long problems. Okay, any questions? Other questions? Any other parent? Mr. Chua, any questions? Mr. Jasni, Madam Joharan, Madam Wondi, Madam Rohaya? Okay, probably, right? Maybe if you cannot think of questions at the moment, anytime you can, send me an email. All right, we can always, share with most of parents. We have students in our centers, so you can see me anytime, and then we can, I can whatever way I can help, I will help. Madam Joharan, question. Okay, anyway, while waiting for some additional questions, okay, just to tell you about our maths program. If your child is not already in our centers, okay, we have our maths program at Serangoon North P4, 5 and 6, in Pasir Ris P3, P4, P5 and 6. Alright, and coming up in June holidays, this has been we have done this for several years. Okay, a lot of during school holidays, PSLE intensive revision program for math, science, and Malay during the school holidays. So I'm just we are just working out on the details of the schedule and so on to make sure that it doesn't clash with the schools, schools supplementary classes and so on, and to get the right tutors for the program. Okay, so if you are keen to register in any of our maths program, okay, you can go to our website to register for our program. Okay. Madam Zaba, may I know the students level targeted for the intensive program? Okay, the students level are generally all levels. Okay, I have students who are low ability, medium ability, high ability students. Okay, the difference is that we will customize the our worksheets according to the needs of the students. All right. So if the students are high ability, I have students in the past in our intensive program, high ability students. So we actually prepare differentiate, different kinds, the high ability question, more challenging questions for such students. Okay. Likewise for low ability students, we prepare the right materials for them. Okay. So we actually use, even for our regular weekly tuition, we use a differentiated strategy in teaching as well as in our resources. Okay. So no worries if your child is high ability. They will not like be doing nothing and waiting for the rest to finish the questions. Okay. And in fact, many of our maths intensive program, we will have 2 tutors in the class. Okay. So to give the students more attention for this particular program. Okay, Mr. Jasni, what do you cover during the June intensive program? All right, for mathematics, so far we have covered 2 things. Number one is problem-solving strategy. Okay, the strategies taken mainly taken from the on Sponge. All right, on Sponge book. Okay, the 4 and 5 marks question. The strategies for them to solve the 4 and 5 marks question. Okay, that is one part of the intensive program. The other part of the intensive program will be the concepts, strengthening the concepts for the main topics. All right, the main topics include numbers, fractions, ratio, percentage, geometry, measurement. Okay, so I break the 3 hour session in a day, right? So the first half will be on topical concepts, and then the second half will be problem solving strategies. Okay, so because problem solving strategy is for your child to score in 4 and 5 marks question, but the concepts will be for 1, 2, and 3 marks question. So both are equally important. That is for maths, right? Okay, any other questions? Okay, now, okay, Madam Rahayu, probably one last question before we call it a day. Okay, so thank you so much for coming for this webinar. So I hope it's been very beneficial for parents. Okay, so this is just an introduction, an overview of the entire of the PSLE math. Okay, so the next subsequent webinar, I hope to go deeper into specific content area, specific skills area, so that to share with parents more advanced skills to help your children at home. All right. So thank you so much. All right. Bye bye. Have a good evening. Okay.